No agenda, no bull crap, just real conversations. Thank you for joining us for the Middle of the Street podcast.
What a week.
Oh, wow. Well, really, what a yesterday or 2 days ago. What was that, Friday?
Friday, yeah.
Friday. What a Friday. It was an amazing Friday. Just tell the people what happened.
Well, Zelensky came to the White House. He actually came to Washington, met with some different congressional folks, seemed to come into the White House or into the Oval Office pretty set into what he wanted, which was not aligned at all to, I think, what the meeting was about. I think the meeting was about trying to get this mineral thing done. And as we as America would invest in the minerals in Ukraine, obviously we're going to have some security there, although it's not going to be in writing. Trump doesn't want to put it in writing, I don't think, because I don't think he wants to commit the United States to a 10 or 20-year war. And you think about the Ukraine-Russia real conflict. Now, it's really 10 years old. I mean, back when Barack allowed Russia to take Crimea, and we sent them blankets. We didn't send them a whole lot to defend themselves then. And then there was continued talk at that time about Ukraine maybe becoming part of NATO, which would then automatically put all of the NATO allies into defending Ukraine. But that was a huge problem for Russia and Putin to have NATO right on their doorstep. And I kind of get that. I mean, we've been arch rivals. We came together for World War II. And really, when I say come together, Adolf Hitler was freaking crazy and was fighting battles on so many different fronts, from Africa to Europe to, Russia, that he just got his ass kicked.
Well, he was basically winning all of them except for the Russian front.
Well, not really, because, after the D-Day invasion, we were coming across liberating France, but the Russians, they were just, both of them had huge casualties. What was that, was it Stalingrad? There was a movie about it?
Oh, yeah, but everywhere else, it seemed like Germany just was able to take everywhere, except for Russia.
He was taking everything up until we joined, and we didn't join until we got bombed in Pearl Harbor before we really got in the war. It was kind of Europe's war, right?
Sure. And with American support, our companies, a lot of our companies were supporting actually Nazis, right?
I think we were kind of supporting both ends.
Sure.
I think there was
whoever was paying.
Yeah. I think we were selling to whoever
was paying. That's kind of like now, too.
I was going to say probably not much different than today.
Yeah.
Maybe more black ops because we've got internet and way more technology.
Sure.
But World War II probably wouldn't have been won without Russia and the United States. Had Hitler not gotten so aggressive to go into North Africa and into Russia, he probably could have held everything except probably England. Probably wouldn't have got across the channel. He was bombing it, but, because he'd kind of taken over the rest of Europe at some point. So
pretty tough.
Fast forward, the famous lines from Ronald Reagan, take down that wall. Mr. Gorbachev, take down that wall.
Yeah.
And so that kind of changed things a lot, kind of became the fall of the Soviet Union, became all the Baltic states, then kind of got their independence somewhat.
They had a lot of war.
Well, and they had a lot of wars, but then that also became kind of a buffer in between NATO and Russia.
Sure.
They were going to kind of they were potentially going to be war-torn countries forever, potentially. Because if there was a conflict, it was probably going to be right there.
Sure.
So Putin then definitely doesn't want NATO on his doorstep. I think he was very public about that, even clear back when he asked about joining NATO himself, which I don't know that would have been a great marriage, but regardless. So he ends up invading Ukraine. Everybody said, they started it. It was a bad war, and it was a bad war. It's still a bad war, but it's not going to be solved through killing. They're going to have to come to a diplomacy to make this thing settle out and have peace, I believe. The only way that Russia is going to get pushed 100% out of Ukraine is going to take NATO forces, probably including the United States, to push Russia back. Well, that could be a WW3 nuclear holocaust, really bad outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're probably going to pull China and North Korea into wars elsewhere in the world and supporting Russia. So this thing starts as kind of a small thing, and it's dicey.
Okay, a couple questions. So first question. Ukraine. Is there not a treaty between NATO and Russia that Ukraine won't join
Not
NATO?
No, not at this point. There was verbally clear back when, and that was U.S., I think, really telling Russia that we will not let these countries join. But, NATO did a lot of expanding in the 90s.
Sure.
A ton of expanding in the 90s.
So are there other countries that were kind of in that spoken deal or whatnot?
Yeah, there's that ban across there. And I think the spoken rule, not written rule, is that NATO would not expand easterly. I think that's easternly over there, towards Russia.
Okay.
It's happened.
And so, but it has happened. Have been continuing to pick off little countries to add to NATO.
Yep.
And Ukraine is kind of the last straw for Russia.
Yeah, because it's right on. It's their asset. It's their way to get to water in the south. Mm-hmm. If not, they have to go north for water, pretty much so, and that's frozen a big chunk of the year. So that's a huge problem.
Now, if NATO, now really quick, Russia said continuously, don't try to bring Ukraine into NATO. If you try to bring Ukraine into NATO, we're going to invade. This is not a threat. This is a promise.
Yeah.
They continuously said that.
Yeah, I think that's based on what I've read. That's been the continual theme ongoing there.
Now, what is supposed to happen is if the treaty does say, or the accord says that if one NATO country is attacked or invaded, then all NATO countries must go to war with that
must
country.
Support, yeah. So Article 5, I believe it is. And it's only been enacted one time, and that was 9/11.
Okay. Now,
which is how we ended up in 20-plus-year-old wars in the Middle
Afghanistan.
East. Well, yeah, Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq.
Yeah. But they started with the Afghanistan pool because that's what they said that the people came from that did it. Even though I think most of them, no, not most, I don't think, the overwhelming majority of them were Saudis. Yeah. Now, that being said, so the danger when Trump goes crazy in the Oval Office, or no, what's that, the press secretary room, whatever?
That was in the Oval Office.
That was in the Oval Office?
Yeah.
Okay. When Trump goes crazy in the Oval Office, is that where Bill and Lewinsky were?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So the Oval Office, this is not sacred ground. But anyways, because everybody trying to act like it's like sacred ground or something. Okay. It's just a room. Okay?
All the news media except the AP's allowed in there.
It's just a room. Now, and you know what's happening in that room. Now, what's going on is Trump is basically looking like, yo, you're playing with fire. You're playing with World War III right now. Sign this little peace treaty, stop this little war, and then we can talk about more. And he literally kind of did. He did raise his voice and yell. But I'm going to be very honest. Zelensky came through with his chest popped open. His chest was full forward, and he was being very forceful with the way he was talking. Like, I'm just keeping it real here, right? Like, the second person gets what's that called? Gets caught always, right? It's always the second person that gets caught. Now, I understand you, right from everything, from real life to sports to anything, right? Somebody hit you, you hit him back. It's like, oh, you knocked him out. Why you knock him out? Because he hit me. Okay, Same thing on the field, right? The one guy pushes you, you push him back, you get the flag, you get called. And I feel like this is what happened. Zelensky came puffing up his chest, talking about what we had to do and what he's demanding out of the United States of America. No, just in this meeting. I'm not talking about outside of the meeting. I'm not talking about all the other times that he's been gracious or said whatever, thank you or whatever. He came in this meeting like looking for blood almost. Like, look, like he came in this meeting as if he had the upper hand.
Yeah, I mean, he came in like he had the upper hand, but he knew that he had to have us. And if he doesn't have us, he's got to have all of Europe behind him. And I contended from the beginning of this. This is the whole problem with so many European NATO countries not paying their dues, not keeping their military at their 2.2% of GDP, not continuing to fund NATO the way they should. And from the beginning, I said, this is a European war. And had all of those NATO countries in Europe been where Poland's at, which is like 2.5% of their GDP in military spending, they could have stopped him in his tracks.
Sure. Well, look, I don't know.
I hate war.
Yeah, me too. And here's my thing is everybody wants us to be so empathetic towards Europe, right? And especially right now, because Trump is saying, look, we're not just going to defend Europe. We're not just throwing our money into this war. We're not going to send our sons and daughters to this war. Because of that, somehow so many people out here on the left, want to support Ukraine so bad, want to support all of these European countries so bad. Now, first thing, I'm be real with you, right? If you're in Ukraine and all these people that say Black Lives Matter and now putting up a Ukraine flag, okay, go see how prosperous you'll be as a Black person in Ukraine. First things first, okay? Second thing, I really want us to be serious about the European support. You cannot name me a European country. Well, excuse me. I'll take away the Nordic countries, but you can't name me. I'm talking about the European countries like Italy, Germany, France, England,
Greece, Poland.
Greece, I'm sure. I'm not sure about Poland then, but like the main players. I guess I think the main players is like I said, like Spain and England and France and Germany and Italy. Now, all of those places still have literally like colonies all around the world, and especially exploiting Africa. All of them still. Many of these countries still pay reparations and dues and taxes and fees to these European countries from their old colonial masters, which are these European countries. So you're so in support of these European countries that still have so much blood on their hands, still have so much like moral bullcrap going on their hands. But, and this is the same Democrats that try to pull that moral superiority type thing, right? And it's like, oh, we want to say give land back, right? The land back movement or the acknowledgement movement. Where's that same energy to these European nations? Now, let me tell you one country, European country that doesn't have historical, real, like an actual colonial, like had an actual colony in Africa. And that's going to be Russia. They didn't have an actual based colony in Africa. Now, they did have some ties and some things in the Congo, of course. And of course, Germany was with that too. And that was part of their wars and things like that. But they weren't one of the land grab countries in Africa like those other European countries, like say a France and a Germany and a Italy.
Well, and all that was, all of those colonializations were all about minerals, gold, silver, everything that they could take from that country's natural resources,
slavery,
and then
supremacy.
People, yeah.
But Russia, for a large part, like how I see it, for a large part, these people, they stay to their like thing. I'm not saying Russia's a great place. I'm not saying that Russia isn't oppressive. I'm not saying any of those things. I'm saying that's not our business. I'm saying if we're Americans, America is our business and anything that's really threatening us, right? And I think the only thing threatening us directly right now from Russia is our involvement in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And
And all of our bases in Europe.
Well, here's the other thing. Is then they say, oh, well, Russia's just going to continue. They're going to take Ukraine and they're going to continue. Logistically, is that not impossible?
Well, they don't have enough manpower on their own to take over. I mean, if you look at the European countries in NATO, they are larger from a GDP, from a military, from all of those things than Russia is, excluding the U.S. Take the U.S. out of that number. And I think, like I said, from the beginning, I said this war is a European war. And everybody then instantly is like, well, World War II was theirs against Germany too. And then, we got drug in, it was too late. I don't know if it's too late. We got drug in when the Japanese bombed Pearl.
But what I'm saying, do people really, I don't understand how people really equate Putin to the type of conquest that Hitler was doing.
Yeah. Well, or Donald Trump to being Hitler. I don't get either one of those.
Sure. I mean, now we could equate some people. Now, when it comes to just people who kill, okay, now don't get me wrong, right? Both of those heads of states, they have indiscriminate killing when it comes to bombs that they are the heads of states in charge of. And all, I mean, there's thousands upon thousands of deaths that they're, what's that called? Responsible for. There's a difference of that and let's say concentration camps. Now, for example, I know Chinese, how they have the Uyghurs, right? And literal concentration camp things. There's definitely people that say Russia oppresses people or oppresses segments of their outlier cultures or things like that as well.
And politically.
100%. And they would say that there's parallels and things like that. So whatever. But I think that we do have to be honest about a scale, right? Where it's there's a difference in rounding up.
Yeah.
Is it, at least 1 million or a couple million people and literally incinerating them or whatnot, or gassing them, right? That's a difference.
China's done like Germany did.
So that's a difference in what Putin is right now. Now, I'm not saying that dude's good, or I'm not saying that, even like I said, I'm not excusing Trump or America's presidents and all the indiscriminate bombing and the taking over and the bull crap we do all around the world. I'm not saying that. But there's a difference in a Hitler and a Trump, or a Hitler and a...
Well, like I said, Ukraine, which was part of the Soviet Union, Germany took it. Okay.
Germany, when we say Germany, we say Nazi Germany.
Nazi Germany.
Okay.
Took 2 million Ukrainians back to enslavement to build war machines and stuff in Germany.
Ooh.
When they did that, though, they also then replaced a whole bunch of neo-Nazi Germans in that portion of Ukraine. So that's why you've kind of got those,
kind of like that. It's like a migration down. Those neo-Nazis. Well,
it was kind of a swap.
Swap. Bang bang.
And some of them were military, and generational. Now it's way different. But they still have a strong German neo-Nazi atmosphere history in that northern part of Ukraine. Just like in the far southern part in Crimea, and that they have such a embedded history with the previous, USSR, now Russia.
Sure.
So those are kind of these.
Sure.
Those are kind of some of these. I don't want to call them really. It's not a. It's kind of a demographic.
No. It is
within that country.
It definitely is, and it definitely is. That's where you get the Azov faction of their militias and their military. And in July, Zelensky, he just actually put in command of the ground command of their army is an Azov affiliate or an Azov sympathizer. It was really at their bequest of this new guy that's there. And so that is a big faction of their thing. But just like, then people are going to be like, hold on, don't be the what do they want to call it? The pot calling the kettle sneaky out here, right? Ish, because you're like, oh, well, you look at United States, you want to go deep south, and we have a very, very big dedication and sympathizers to the Confederacy, to a faction of America that seceded and split away on the sole premise that Black people are subservient to white people, and that's in their declaration of why they were doing that, to uphold their institution of slavery. Now, that's Now that is a thing that we have to acknowledge and say. Now, if there was another country, right, that was going to support us, and they're looking like, really, why are we supporting them? They have their own problems. They have their own a whole bunch of things that are splitting up their nation as it is. Even if you look at our nation now and how differently people think and fight about things.
A lot of divide.
Right? It's like, why would anybody else get involved with our thing? Right? Now, the same thing how I feel about Ukraine. It's like, man, they have their own issues and problems to take care of. And it really isn't our concern about their historical relation to Russia. Russia Liberated Ukraine from the Nazis back in World War II. Ukraine gains its independence then when they tear down the wall. I mean, when the Soviet Union falls.
Yep.
When the Soviet Union falls, Ukraine gains independence. It's like, hey, I'm just saying, it's like, now, really quick. I do want to also put out there that I'm not being non-empathetic to the people in war, right? There's horrible conditions and people that are in horrible conditions in war. All I'm saying is, man, we don't keep that same energy for some conflict that's happening in Africa or some conflict that's happening in other parts of the world. But for some reason, we care so much of it happening with this Ukraine and Russia thing.
Which makes me think that there's money involved somewhere politically that's why we've been doing what we're doing now. I can't, peel that onion back that far, but that's just what my gut tells me. And another thing is I was doing some research. 1.5 million Jews were taken out of Crimea by Nazi Germany and terminated.
Wow.
World War II.
1.5 million Jews, what they're saying, was taken out. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Taken out of Ukraine.
Out of Ukraine.
Now, but they were Russian Jews at the time.
Yep.
And the Russian Jews in Germany have a real crazy history of oppression, extreme violence. I mean, I've read crazy stories about oppressiveness against Russian Jews. And then I've heard some crazy stories about Germans in Russia being oppressed. I mean, I've heard it both ways like crazy because, that border is so wild.
Which I think it's no different than in the U.S.
Yeah.
Where we have groups that are very anti-Semitic, very racist, we have these fascist groups and you don't really know until you have a conversation with them in some cases of what they're thinking, where their mind's at. Because it's not like, they're walking around with stickers and labels on them physically that you can see.
I miss that.
But you see that.
Yeah. But I miss that when when racist is just racist and out with it. I like that a little better, man. It's easier to know who just not mess with.
Yeah. Well, so that was kind of interesting. So now circling back
That's wild. 1.5 million.
Yeah. So there's a lot of ugly history there. And obviously Russia felt forced to not allow them to join NATO.
Yes.
There's got to be some other real strategic things other than, but the water's got to be part of it. Being able to get to the water down there for their Navy. So that's got to be some of it. But, he comes in there kind of, as he started yipping a little bit at Trump. I don't know if you noticed, Trump just kind of put his head down and was staring at the floor, really trying to not make eye contact and not completely blow a gasket. I mean, I think that's a 70-some-year-old Donald Trump. I think that would have been a 50-year-old Donald Trump. He'd have just blown a cork.
Look, JD hopped in quick because JD was hot. JD was like, man, how you going to come in here hollering at my boss like that? Okay, really what I equated it to, and I know some people are going to be mad at me for saying this, but I'm just keep it real, like Dick Gregory would. Like, these are high-level gangsters. And what I mean by that, I'm talking about these are real gangsters, man. These are real gangsters. Like, they have real armies and real mafia behind them. Like, they're playing with real guns, real bullets, real missiles, real tanks.
And real black ops people behind that they don't even know where they come from or where they come in. And
they stone cold and they got real money. I'm talking about Zelensky. When it talks about the type of money, the underhand money, we know how much? How many of the millions and hundreds of millions and millions and millions, right? We know about all the Hunter Biden stuff and all the corruption, right? We know Trump's got the big money. We know what we're playing with here, okay? All the military contracts and things like this. Okay, this is now. Anyways, that was some of the most gangster shit I ever seen in my life. This dude Zelensky came through like, look, y'all gonna give us this, this, and that, because he was coming from a standpoint of, look, I'm keeping Russia at bay for you.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how he's coming. He's coming like, look, I'm over here fighting. My country's putting it on the line for y'all, protecting all of Europe and protecting all of your interests, because past us is all your European interest. And even in our country is a lot of your interest with all your NGOs here. So
which is really what he was either sold that or was selling that, and we were gobbling it up under Biden.
Both, because he had Biden with a lot of fraud. Like he had Biden because of how much money that he had given the Biden family and how much real bullcrap that he can really leak about the Bidens. He has a lot of leeway there. Come out here to Trump, to a gangster that's a little bit bigger than you, and he's looking like, go ahead and try me.
Who's been a gangster for a long time.
Too long. You can't out-gangster a gangster. And that's what he tried to do. And Trump said, look, man, you ain't got these cards. And Zelensky didn't even get the reference, because I know English isn't his first language. He's like, we're not playing cards.
Obviously, he doesn't play poker.
He didn't, he don't even understand what he's saying. And I get the language barrier. And I do respect Zelensky for coming through and being able to do his English and all that shit, because that's dope. That's a dope talent and dope skill to have. He's tight. But you can't come in here trying to out-gangster Trump. Like, everybody knows you're not going to out-gangster Trump. Are you serious?
Well, I mean, I think Zelensky's probably a pretty sharp guy. He was in the entertainment industry.
Oh, yeah, he's an actor.
He did a really nice job with Bret Baier that night in that interview. I watched that.
Me too.
But
he apologized basically in that interview.
He tried to.
Well, mainstream media keeps on saying, "Oh, he won't apologize." He did with Bret Baier. He's like, "Look, I don't want to be taken like I'm trying to come at it.
Yeah.
I appreciate America. But
I need more money."
Point blank, and I need more security. He's like, it's not out of line me to say that we need security written down. That we need security. We need security. Okay, point blank. We're not your
security.
We're not your security force. We're not the FOI for you. If you don't know the Fruit of Islam reference, that's the best security in America.
And that's the same thing. And that's why from the beginning I said, no, they don't need to be part of NATO. Europe needs to protect Europe. Those non-NATO countries, Europe needs to help protect them.
Right. You know what? I just thought about something. Zelensky, your people, if you hear this, you might want to reach out to the FOI if you want some security. For real, like, they can help you. Okay, they got a lot of people. They can help you. Okay, anyways, for the right price.
As Ukraine, when they were part of Russia, they had a bunch of nukes.
No.
Yeah, they did.
I didn't know.
Yeah, so that was kind of part of the whole split up. The nukes went back to Russia. So they were non-nuclear on their border. But, of course, if they become part of NATO, then there could be nukes back in there.
Of course.
And that's the problem. I understand we closed down our kind of small temporary base in Greece, which is where we were running guns through for Ukraine.
Ooh, I like that. I like short passes.
I would like to have us. I seriously think, supposedly Trump threw it out there to Xi and to Putin of, hey, let's cut our military spending in half.
Bro.
Of course, the only way I think we can do that is we need to close some bases. So we'd have to be pretty strategic about it. So through all that, and then I don't know if you heard that, I think it was a Norway company that said they will no longer refuel our ships.
Okay, but did you just hear this? The government of Norway said that company's on some bullshit. We don't support that. That's not country policy. Don't worry, America. You can come and refuel with us in Norway. We got you. Yeah. Don't trip.
Yeah.
They don't want no issues, because everybody knows that America really is your security as long as you do business with us. If you do business, you're good. And you're going to get your security, because we're going to always secure our financial interest. So if you want security from America, do good business with us. Point blank.
Which is why Zelensky just had to do the deal. I mean, he was giving him half of the profits half the proceeds off of all the rare earth minerals were going to their country. Half of it was coming back to pay what we spent defending them through this war. I mean,
It's a good deal.
it was actually wasn't a
It's a good
horrible deal.
No, it's
for
a good
them
deal.
at all.
And I understand you lose some territory, right? But that shit's already lost, bruh. Sometimes you got to cut your losses. You got to know when to fold them.
Well, then I think the next piece of that was going to be okay, Russia, this area here where these rare earth minerals are, we're going to be mining shit there, so you guys need to vacate them.
Of course. You got to stay out of
And
this.
I think that would have been the next step. But if they can't get to step 1, they're never going to get to step 2 and 3 and 4, which is ultimately peace.
Well, here's the thing too is,
and I feel bad about there's millions of people dying over there.
There's a lot of people at stake. That being said, there's a lot of people at stake, right? That being said, I know there's just a lot of people at stake around the whole world, and the war is ugly. It's the worst thing.
Yeah.
It really is. War and hate are the worst things.
And
it's the devil at work. It really is. Like, that is the devil at work. The evil demons are prevailing when you see hate and you see war.
Well, and I think China has been supporting Russia for this because of those rare earth minerals. They don't want Europe and the United States to get them because right now they kind of own the corner of the market of those rare earth minerals.
Well, they're in Africa going tough with it.
Oh, yeah.
See, China, they came in with this economic colonialization, which is causing economic apartheid as well. And they're coming in and they're taking rare earth minerals at pennies on the dollar and doing it tough. Now, Russia that's their exploitation of Africa move as well. It's through the economic assimilation and the economic colonialization. And what they do is also, they offer a lot of good money for schooling, for infrastructure, right? And they give them lots of good cash, but they do take control of these mines.
And the problem is the cash never gets to where it needs to go. Corruption eats a bunch of it up. And if they really wanted to help Africa, if Russia had said, okay, we want these minerals, we're going to spend $1 billion putting roads here, here.
But nobody wants to help Africa.
And them though, but then them go do it. Because if not, it all ends up getting.
Of course. But nobody wants to help Africa.
Nobody wants to help anybody. They only want to give them money.
The only people that want to help Africa get suicided, unfortunately, or they get cooed.
Well, there's never been. There's been
countless amazing African heroes, and America assassinates them point blank because we have just as many economic colonialist ties as well. I mean, it's what we do, and it's how we keep prices so affordable in America, and how we keep the upper hand. Now, that being said, I understand, your tires, right? We can go get tires, 4 of them for like $800 or $600 or $700 or something. I'm buying cheaper tires. I'm not talking about your tires, okay, Pops? I'm not talking about your tires, all right? I'm talking about regular people tires here, okay? All right. Now, I understand if you can't go to the Congo and get the rubber trees and the rubber for pennies on the dollar, those tires, my tires instead of $600, they're going to cost $1,400 instead of $600. That's real fair market value, right? So I understand what that means. And many people aren't willing to say, okay, I'm willing to pay fair market value to have real equity in the world because people want to win.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, people want to win in that way, right? But at some point, maybe consciousness will change into like, we can all win. Like, we can all win and be as prosperous because there's not a scarcity on earth.
No,
right?
But the problem is that true wealth, financial wealth in this country is much different than true wealth in this country or this country or this country. Sure. Because it's not, everybody always talks about, fairness and equity and being equitable partners and that's a big step difference into what true equity is, because what's your basis on?
Well, here's what I mean. For example, a company, the money for, let's say, something like rubber and rubber production, right? Instead of, and I don't know these real numbers, right? But like instead of, let's say, for a ton of rubber, it being $100, right? The real equitable price that we should be paying maybe is $800. And what that does is that takes people from living in a home that doesn't have indoor plumbing, right, to a home that has indoor plumbing and looks like it's in the first world. Now, what I mean is this, for example, like in Tanzania, there's plenty of homes that look exactly like mine, right? But then there's so much of the population that live in homes that literally have a shared bathroom like it's a dorm, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that step up is like $400 a month, right? So that's what I mean. It's getting the fair market value so that instead of exploiting the people, it's that extra $400 a month for that economy that actually boosts and gets it there. And that all just comes from getting a fair price.
Well, but
like make more money. Like right now, if I want to move into the next bracket, I just have to make more money. So I have to value myself different.
yeah, well,
But it's hard to value myself different if I can't, if I don't have any cards because I can get bullied. And what I mean by that is like, if I have all the skills, right? Like if I'm what's that called? If I'm the only people that can build houses, right? The only
if you have a
person.
monopoly on something.
If I'm a monopoly on something, but the other people have all the guns and they say, okay, fine. You don't want to build my house? I'm just going to shoot you.
Well,
That's what we have.
but if you look at this other piece of the economic side of it, so if the fair market value went up 4 times on that rubber, how much of it's actually going to get to that person? How much of it's just going to be eaten up by government seizing stuff? I mean, because there's still a ton of corruption in Africa.
And just like here.
In everywhere. Yeah,
Right. So I would say just like here though, exactly as well. It's like if we were on the other side, right, and we didn't get fair market value, just for example, Doge is finding how much corruption and how much money that's bullshitted that should really go to making interest rates shouldn't be what they are, inflation shouldn't be what it is here, and all those things, right? Because of all this corruption and all this money wasted. It's very equitable, I think.
Well, but that's happening because we're a capitalist society. Africa, I don't think, is a capitalist society.
Oh, I mean, so many countries in Africa are capitalist society. There are. Oh, yeah, so
absolutely.
Many. So, for example, like Tanzania, not saying there's not corruption, just like anywhere, but yeah, definitely they have elections, democratic things happen every 4 years or 2 years. It may even be less.
If you would think about, I've always thought about,
they have
why don't we have?
They just had a woman president
in Africa.
No bullshit.
I mean,
I'm just saying, like, that's how like democratic it is. Like they had a woman president after, and here's what's so cool about that place. They're literally 50-50 nation, like 50 Muslim, 50 Christian. They have a Muslim president and then a Christian vice president. Like that's kind of like their like rule or whatever.
But it's a small country too.
I don't know how many millions of people. It's big land mass wise.
Well,
I don't know. I'm saying, like, we have to remember too. I think people forget 3.5 United States of America's continental fit in Africa. Like so, like I just like.
But there's a lot of countries in Africa.
Yeah, 54.
Yeah,
54. I'm just saying, like they're very, very. I mean, they're much larger than many European countries.
Oh yeah.
So comparable that wise. But what I'm saying is, for some reason, when Europe has some type of a export or a thing, they get fair market value. And that's partly because of they've had hundreds of years to establish their dominance and their control as well.
And they charge us tariffs on stuff that we want to send them to keep us out of their market. I mean, that's the whole automotive thing. Trump said, we're charging you 2.5%, you're charging us 25%, so we're going to charge you 25% on your cars coming in. Or if you want to go to 2.5% across the board, we'll do that.
Now, when's the last time Russia talked or had anything to say about us doing a trade agreement with Mexico? Or did Russia have something to say when we, took more Mexican land, like when we took Texas and Arizona or some shit?
Well, that was
hey,
so
what does Russia
ago.
have to say about us doing Greenland?
I don't know if they've said anything.
Do they hate it?
They've got to hate it because that gives us a cutoff to their northern seaports.
You got to hate it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what about, what else? Did Russia get mad that we changed the name to the Gulf of America? Like, I'm just saying.
Probably don't even care.
Like I feel like I don't know, man. I feel like why do we care so much what Russia does? But it seems like, it's kind of like the rival where it's like, have you ever seen this in sports where it's like one team really hates you so much, but you just don't care about that team?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I feel like Russia sometimes is like, what do we care that y'all think we're rivals? Like, we're focused on what we're doing here.
We're worried about us.
Fuck what y'all doing. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
But again, it's still a socialist communist country. So they do things differently. And
it is different. It is different.
And I'm not sure why we as a country want to force all of our traditions, our government, all of our processes on other countries. And, like how many?
Why do we hate communism so much?
No clue.
Here.
Because we're
what are we afraid
a true
of?
republic.
But what are we afraid of? Like if we're so
if we
good,
went to a socialist communist, then
no,
everybody.
But what I mean, like if democracy's so good, right? Why are we afraid of the communist ideals and things? Like, won't we always just prevail because our shit's so good?
But once you go over that path, it's tough to ever turn back.
Yeah, like once you mean like our government wise, if we
went
infiltrators of our government.
If we went to a complete socialist, and we have a lot of socialism in our government.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we have police departments.
But shouldn't
fire
that
departments
never even happen because democracy's so good? Like, what's the threat? I guess is what it's supposed to be.
Well, I think the whole premise of that is how their people are taken care of, what things happen in their countries. I don't know that we need to play God or Allah or whatever to force our ways on another country. I just don't think that's. I don't think that's right.
Sure, of course not. Like we shouldn't be trying to advance democracy throughout the world. That's what you're saying.
So look at NATO going to Ukraine, if that would have happened. Remember when Russia just tried to put a few missiles on Cuba?
Yeah.
We almost blew that whole fucking island out of the water.
Yeah. No, it's big deal.
I mean, we almost blew that whole
big
freaking
deal.
Island gone.
Bay of Pigs.
Well, and we had plenty of missiles and shit sitting in Florida that were just gonna blow the hell out of that island.
Well, not only that, but that could have started the whole nuclear annihilation of the whole world.
Absolutely.
Right? It wasn't like Kennedy about to like press the button or something.
Yeah.
It was like close. Now
the same thing. So with our tariffs and our stuff's going on with Mexico and Canada.
Yeah.
If Russia said, "Hey, Canada, we'd like to build a base, in Windsor, right across the river from Detroit.
Yeah.
We want to build a base there." You think we're going to allow that? No.
But what if Russia keeps on just giving them money, giving them arms, be like, hey, look, we just want to support you. We fuck with you. We like you. Well, and they keep on inching up, right?
So there's only really about.
Could you imagine though, for real though? I love how you brought this up. Could you imagine if Canada created some sort of alliance with Russia, if they were accepting money from Russia, if they're accepting missiles and shit from Russia because America's being a little bit, confrontational with Canada now or whatever, right? Could you imagine that? I'm not saying it would ever really happen logistically, but could you imagine that, right?
It'd be a shit show.
Okay, same thing with Mexico. What if Mexico and Russia started getting friendly?
Same thing. I mean, the Soviets are gotten kind of friendly there, and
better weather.
It's going to get.
It could get interesting.
Well, I don't see us invading Canada ever.
Sure.
I do at some point see us getting pissed off enough at Mexico of saying, okay, we're going to take it down to like here. Then Mexico can have this, but we're going to take it down to a border that's really small.
It's like we want a buffer.
That we can control.
We want a buffer. That's wild.
And
that's a lot of land.
I can see that.
That's a lot of land.
Yeah.
It's a lot of desert.
Yeah. A lot of turning shit into glass, man.
People will be really
freaked out.
Oh, yeah. No, that'd be crazy. I don't know. Like I said, hopefully humans can get to a point where there's an easy way to this. And what I mean by the South America, Latin America, Mexico problem. America must cease foreign policies that destabilize southern regions. If we would leave them the F alone, if we'd have let them places be communists that want to be communists. We let places be communists that want to be communists. We let people do what the hell they want to do. And we stop trying to destabilize nations for our little coups and our little bullshit and our cocaine contra deals and all that shit. That's what causes war, causes gangs, cause real cartels and shit.
So
destabilization. People
we have two countries that we need to protect against. Mexico and Canada. They're on our borders.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else has to come by water. We have, without a doubt, one of the largest navies, if not, we're the one or two navy in the world. And we're the number one air superiority in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand why we don't have our own Iron Dome. Like we've supplied technology and sold to Israel. Why we don't have our own Iron Dome.
Why are we protecting Israel more than America?
Don't know.
Who really runs America?
Yeah, I mean,
where are their interests?
Now we're getting into the deep Rothschild monies.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Like, what sense does it make for our government, for our leaders every year in and year out, to protect Israel better than they protect America?
I mean, part of it is I get it's the only
that's a lot more
friendly democracy in that part of the world, which is pretty unstable. And we rely a lot on that part of the world for energy because I think our end game is to try to keep as many of our natural resources as possible and deplete others.
But again, I just get back to it's like, why do we keep destabilizing parts of the world if we say we want some type of stability there? Because they have stability there. All we have to do is make fair deals. Well, what we want, I'll be real, what America wants is they want every deal. They want to win, exorbitantly win in every deal instead of just playing a fair deal. And here's what I'm saying is what I get back to this lesson of everybody can eat. Like it can be a fair deal in a fair world and you can all make money. Everybody can eat. You did business for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
You weren't out there doing deals that you thought were amazingly unfair. You realize everybody can eat. You give people a fair price. You make money. They continue to make money. They do more business. Their business scales, and they do what? More business with you scales more.
So I think here's the big threat of any country that we would make rich with trade that isn't already a superpower is then they can become a superpower financially, economically, all of those things. And I think at this point, the upper echelon of political in the world says, okay, we've really got these four fashions, really kind of three. You got the NATO, Europe, US, them. US is obviously the huge military. You've got Russia and you got China. Mm-hmm. China's really never been tested in a long time.
But anybody talking about India?
Yeah.
They got nuclear weapons. They got a lot of people.
Yep.
And they kind of stick to themselves a little bit. They're not in crazy wars. I mean, I know they're always, fighting a little bit with Pakistan. But, shoot. But anyways, all I'm saying is this. At some point, hopefully the upper echelon who really making decisions stop trading their fears for poverty. Because that's really what it comes down to the end to. It's like, so they fear that because these people aren't going to be impoverished, that they're going to come. And no, I'm gonna be honest, really, this is a mentality that's really, I'll be very really, right? It's really, really a mentality that is based in a falsehood that for some reason is a fear. And it's the same fear and fallacy that happened, and I'm going to give America as the best example, right? Of the fallacy that for some reason, so many white folks were afraid of black folks and said that they don't want into slavery just for the fear fact that they're afraid that black people are going to want vengeance, that they're going to do to them what they have done to them. And there's still like a fear for some reason that black people want to do to white folks what their forefathers had done to them. And they just don't. Like, it's been proven in history over and time again, right? The only people that have gone across shores and across major, huge borders, continental borders, are Europeans. No, I don't want to. I mean, you name me an African empire that has went and tried to make a colony or totally take over another place. So what I'm saying is these fears come out of an irrational, I think, guilt that because we have been so wrong to the rest of the world, we just know that they're going to try and be wrong to us. But there's no backing or evidence for that ever. There's been none. So if we treat Congo correctly and give them the amount of money that they're supposed to for their resources, then they're going to be a superpower, come and take us over. That's a weird, really irrational fear, I think, that the powers that be have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just wild. Like Ghana's going to come out and come and try to take over the whole world.
When you look at
fair price.
It's like when you look at poverty, the people in the U.S. that are living in poverty, many of them would be in the top 20% in parts of Africa.
Yeah, what we call poverty. We call poverty.
I mean, so this says deep poverty, so less than 40% of the national median income in the United States, deep poverty is 10.8%. Mm-hmm. Finland, it's 2.2. Mm-hmm. Sweden, 4.7. And that's just 1% of their total population. Mm-hmm. So
is there an African nation on there?
There isn't. Is it
all Nordic nations or whatnot?
Yeah, it's all.
What was USA? What was USA?
Doesn't tell you the dollars. I didn't pull that up.
No. I'm sorry. Ranked.
On this, we're last.
We're last. Like we're the worst.
Yeah,
we're the worst.
And it's United States, Australia, Italy, United Kingdom, Canada, Spain, Netherlands.
Tough.
Well, and it's a big country.
We got a lot of people.
Yeah, it's compared.
We got a lot of people, but what I'm saying is, really quick, extreme poverty in America, you're gonna have a hard time finding someone without their own bathroom in their home in America.
Yeah.
Right? That's like what I mean by that. In a lot of these nations, what I'm talking about extreme poverty is like there's not their own bathroom in their home, or there's outdoor plumbing, or like you're cooking outside, right? Like you're cooking on a real fire outside, right? I saw a lot of that in some villages I was in. You're cooking in an outside fire. Now, that being said, don't get me wrong. If people want to live how we live, 100%.
Yeah.
But man, there was something to it. Seemed like there was I was watching people of 13 or 14 people, family members, all around the fire, all cooking and doing something. And they're all together. And they're all together, man. And they're happy. And they're doing the thing. So I of course, everybody wants indoor plumbing, I think, and all those type of things as well, right? But I hope that doesn't have to mean that when you have those things, that you lose what some other people, what we call poverty, have, right? Is all sitting together in a fire every day.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
In 24, the World Bank estimated that 8.5% of the global population, almost 700 million people, live in extreme poverty, which is less than $2.15 a day.
Sure. So really quick, I was around people that told me that if they wanted to work with that construction that was going on, right? They're selling stuff. And I was like, how much would you get if you want to work there? He's like, well, my brother works there and he gets $3 a day to work there, $3 a day to work construction for like 8 hours a day, right? That's nuts. So if he's trying to support a family on $3 a day, now the rent that I'm talking about for like a place to live where you share a bathroom with like a whole, group of like maybe 8 dwellings or something, right? Is like $60 or $70 a month.
Poorest countries in the world. All African nations.
Yeah, definitely. They're the youngest nations in the world. They're the most exploited nations in the world. They have usually the darkest people, so they get the most racist treatment in the world by the world that definitely has been and is still all the way against them. And when they try to get some type of independence, then they're called terrorists. They're called horrible. Like my boy, who Elon Musk is mad at right now. Like, all those. It's just crazy to me. It's so crazy to me that people that have colonized places, and the people want some type of economic freedom, that they're against that. It's just wild to me. I still can't. Anyways.
So I think Elon Musk is doing a good job with Doge. I don't know if his tactics are perfect. I know there's a lot of people that are upset over the people that they have terminated.
Give me the Bill Clinton number.
I sent it to you.
There's at least 300,000.
I think it was 700,000 people.
I thought it was
It was 300,000 people that he let go.
Yeah. So look, Bill Clinton let go 300,000 people of government jobs when he came. He said we're going to have to tighten our belt, right? Again, I agree you have to tighten your belt. I just want you to go slower. I know we had this whole big discussion last time about national forest people.
Well, I threw this kind of question out on Facebook. I don't know if you saw it or not.
No, I didn't.
Does the U.S. owe Ukraine security? ?
Oh, shit.
Does Ukraine
what do people
owe
say?
the United States for weapons, money?
Hey, look, we got to put this on middle of the street thing, man. You're a person.
That's true. I should be putting
post that shit on there too.
Posting on there.
What? Did you get a lot of comments?
Actually, quite a few people I know, and most of them were like, I don't think we owe them anything. I did have somebody come back and said that in '94 we did do an agreement, U.S., U.K., Russia, France, and Ukraine, that Russia's broke twice, which obviously because they invaded it twice since then.
Okay. So Russia's breaking the shit.
So that was kind of an interesting one. And then I was trying to find, I did another.
But in those treaties, we said that we're going to support them or defend them, secure them.
That Russia wasn't going to invade them was the gist of it.
So Russia do what they want to do. Russia's a grown-ass country, not playing.
They are. I threw another question. I actually just posted it. It was kind of an interesting, trying to find it here real quick. I posted how many federal employees. Is this it?
That Trump got rid of yet so far?
No, just that we have.
Oh, God.
And how it's grown. It was a pretty amazing number. I know I should go find this. Come on.
So there's 2.3 million federal employees, around 2.1 million classified as white collar. The remaining are blue collar or unspecified employees working jobs as custodians, mechanics, food service workers, or electricians. So white collar is basically like paper pushers, and the blue collar are like the people actually doing some
federal civil service employees by year.
Yeah.
So in 2020, we had 1.9 million, 1.936.
Yeah.
And then in 21, it went to 1956.
Okay.
22, it went to 1960.
Yeah.
23, it went to 2,040,040.
Yeah.
In 24, it went over 3 million.
Over 3 million in 24.
November of 24. So that's almost a million person gain.
Yeah.
From 23 to 24.
Now, like I said, this one right here. Let's see. This is USA Facts. The federal employment employs around 3 million people. It just said that on this other one here. 3 million people since September 2024. There you go. Let's see. Wow, the last time the government could claim that many employees was September 1994. Ding, 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 before your boy Clinton came in and fired a bunch of people. Now, geez Louise.
Whacked them.
He whacked him. Wow. That's wild. That's wild. Okay, so anyways, your boy comes in, he's chopping jobs. He's trying to balance it out. They're talking about giving $5,000 to people maybe. Is that still on the table?
I don't think so. That needs to go to the debt.
You think he's just talking shit?
I think he's saying it's doable if we gave everybody $5,000 and put 7,000 towards the debt.
I would like to give everybody $5,000.
I think it'd be really cool, but the problem is it's just going to fuel inflation horrible.
Think so?
Oh, man. I think inflation we'd be back to 10% inflation.
Oh, man.
But because...
Thinks people try to buy some houses.
Well, people are going to spend it on stuff. I mean, look at COVID money. Look at how many flat screen televisions got sold with COVID money.
I bought a gun.
I didn't get any money, so it didn't really matter to me.
When you make that good money,
Yeah.
they didn't get
They
it.
said you don't need it.
Hey,
so.
Trump's about to get it to everybody, though, ain't he?
That's what he said.
The CARES Act was signed by Trump. The CARES Act was the act that actually gave the money to give all the money to people, those Trump checks.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that wasn't CARES.
The CARES, the first CARES Act that gave the first 1,200 was Trump.
What was it called, CARES?
It was called the CARES Act. And here's what's crazy about it, because like the lady who was just, the big Democratic lady that's real popular right now, she was just hating, saying that, $5,000 wouldn't do any help. And the CARES Act that gave people the, the money when we did have it had nothing to do with Trump. It was a Biden thing, But really, the CARES Act, we can look at it.
The first CARES Act
Make
was...
sure I'm not lying.
I didn't think it was called CARES when Trump did it.
Maybe I'm lying.
I think CARES was...
President Trump signs CARES Act into law, the CARES Recovery Act.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what was the next CARES Act then that Nancy Pelosi pushed so hard and shoved through?
I'm not sure, but the CARES Act $2.2 trillion economic stimulus bill was passed in the Congress. So that was the next one. That was 2020.
Yeah, COVID.
And that would have been, let's see here, March 27th, 2020.
Yeah. This
is signing the CARES Act, the HR 748. And it was goodness gracious, man. That's a lot of money. But see, that was first, it was, we had split the House and the Congress. One was Democrat, one was Republican. And they both passed it, and then Trump signed it.
Yeah, so, I guess
so I'm just saying, like, what I'm saying is, like, it's happened before. He's given money before. Everybody's, I don't know, is bipartisan. Everybody's giving out money. I'm just saying, like, everybody spends money.
Yeah.
Everybody spends money. And they said if we didn't, then the whole economy would have went crazy because we, fired people.
The good potential part about it is this wouldn't be new money printed by the Treasury.
Really quick, the historic bill included the following: $300 billion in direct cash payments would be available to every American citizen earning less than $99,000 per year, $3,400 for a typical family of four. So family of four, $400 to everybody. Then $350 billion in job retention loans, $250 billion in expanded unemployment benefits, $500 billion to support hard-hit industries, $100 billion to do something else. It just kept going on and on and on and on and on. Now, I don't know. I say that I don't even know why I'm saying all this. I'm just saying it just to say like shit. Like everybody spends money. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody thinks it was just Biden that was like giving everybody money.
Oh no.
But what I'm saying is when she said that, it's like a big Democratic speaking head. She said it like Trump would never do that anyway. He didn't have any part of ever giving anybody money or anything. But it's like he just signed to give the American people all that money anyway. And it was people who made under $100,000.
Yeah.
So here's all I'm saying. Trump hates poor people, right? Right. He only wants to do something for the upper people, right? I'm just saying he signed the bill. I'm not saying he wrote the bill. I'm not saying he loved the bill. But he signed the bill to give anybody who had made under $100,000 some money.
Yep.
You didn't get none of that money.
Nope. And that was okay. I didn't need it.
I know. I'm just saying, like, it's just wild to me.
But I was also,
how everybody doesn't really know. Like, so many people don't even know anything.
I was essential, so we continued to work. Even the
you were essential.
My day job, it was essential, so we had to continue to work. So we supplied hospitals and
now you try to tell me what isn't communist about that.
Yeah,
you were essential worker, so you could work.
Had to work.
Your government could tell you if you could work or not, though. For real. Your government could tell you could shut down. Be like, no, you.
Even can't. My investment businesses were all considered critical
because you do transportation.
Because it was parts, auto
now,
parts.
just imagine when the government wants to shut down transportation and they say y'all got to stop.
They can do that now.
That shit's crazy.
With the newer cars.
That shit's crazy.
Push of a button, man.
It's crazy, man. So anyways.
So those were a couple of questions I threw out there kind of
sparking some shit.
Well, I was just trying to, try to get some read on some folks that I was friends with.
But most folks that you're friends with, right? They're more like America first.
I got some folks that were kind of negative comments, and
What do you mean negative? It was just a question, right?
It was, but it was like, that's who pointed out. Well, we had this treaty in place, and Russia broke it.
No, that's fair.
We had this thing in place, and another one of how can we get rid of employees that are working in Alzheimer's, which it was like 10% of their employees they cut federally that were working in Alzheimer's, and I don't. I hate to see anybody lose their job, but when you gain 1 million people in employment, which appears to be all so that they were jacking up job numbers during the last year of the Biden presidency, that kept their job numbers up.
That is something else. Now, here's another thing.
That's 90,000 people a month.
Well, you're right. That's a huge number. Now, they also did a whole bunch of, for example, didn't they cut a bunch of cancer funding?
Yeah. And I said...
Now, really quick, here's just what I want to say, okay? I'm going to keep it a buck here. I'm going to keep it 100. You can be mad at me if you want to, okay? The American Cancer Association and all that shit and all the science cutting for cancer and all that shit, right? How long we've been funding that shit? Where the fuck is the cure for cancer? You know where the cure for cancer is? You know where it is? It's on college campuses and a bunch of health books because it can't be monetized because maybe the real researcher found it from a college and that can't be put into real monetization because they can't patent it because it came from college research that was funded by the government. So they can't because there's hundreds of cures for cancer and most of them lie just in your diet and fasting. And so, yeah, we're wasting billions of dollars on cancer research because the cures are there.
Yeah.
And the preventive measures are there. But instead, our government continues to take money from big industries that pump us with bullcrap food and tell us that we should have our diet should consist of breakfast cereal and bacon and pork sausage and a bunch of sugary juices and some cinnamon rolls.
By the way, my 72-hour fast is coming up starting on March 23rd.
Going hard. He's trying to make sure that he stays healthy.
Trying to do it at least once a quarter.
But seriously though, like we have all the preventative measures, we have all the measures. So again, people can be mad that we're cutting funding to things that aren't working. They aren't working. Cancer should be done and solved if you've been funding it for 60 fucking years.
I think longer than that.
It's abysmal. If you have a car and you've been taking it to a mechanic for 5 years and he can't fix that motherfucker, it's time to get a new mechanic. Just saying.
Well, he maybe won't find the fix as long as you keep paying him.
There you go. That part. That part.
So I think Zelensky then went on, to kind of circle back on this.
Yeah.
Zelensky then went on to the UK, and I think he made the same deal with the European Union of, hey, if you guys will sign this security agreement, we'll give you this much of our rare earth minerals. Mm-hmm. So, he's actually trying to get a security agreement, but I don't know if there's so many European countries today that they're in the same spot as the U.S. Their citizens are tired of paying for this war that isn't doing much.
Now, are their citizens more afraid than ours because do they feel a real threat from Russia? I guess has Europe sold the threat from Russia as good as American media sold it to us? That they're just going to continue on and take all of Europe?
Who knows?
I can't believe people think that's really possible with the amount of ground troops that they already don't have, the amount of people, like they're already using North Korean troops because their shit's thinned out.
Yeah.
And the North Korean troops, I heard they're real brave and shit, but I heard they just suck.
Well, they've been used to slingshots.
I heard they're super brave. They say they fight Admiral, but they just suck. It's I don't know, like the Mighty Mouse dude that keeps coming at you, just put your hand out and just hold them back. That type of shit.
The Japanese in World War II. They just kept coming and coming and coming and coming and coming and coming and coming. It was honorable for them to die.
Just kamikaze, just come to
and that was one of the I regress a little bit here, to Afghanistan and some of those places, and you'd hear the French or the Canadians or the UK, their troops would be someplace and kind of be in a bad spot. And they were all elated when the Americans said they're coming. Because when the Americans say they're coming, and they're bringing the shit.
Hard.
They're bringing the shit. They're showing up to.
They're ready.
They're showing up to save your ass. They're not just showing up to evaluate. They're showing up to save your ass.
Showing up to go tough.
And so those guys are like, it's one thing about it, man. When the Americans say they're coming, they're bringing shit and they're coming hard.
Excited. Ain't nobody messing with the American military still. I don't think. Well. We have the best shit. Not saying we use the best tactics, right? Not saying we use the best strategy. And a lot of times they say that's because you got these brilliant guys on the ground that really know what they're doing, know how to win wars, and know how to do shit. And then you got some other guy in a commander suit way back offshore calling the shots that doesn't know what the fuck is going on.
Calling the shots, that's taking his orders from somebody in a suit sitting in Washington, a politician.
Know what the fuck's going on?
A politician who's worried about front press, instead of worried about how many Americans get killed there.
Sure.
I mean, the Afghanistan withdrawal.
Oh, yeah.
I know Trump signed up for that withdrawal, but he didn't sign up for the withdrawal happening that way. Yeah. And it was like Biden just went, Trump signed this and here's the withdrawal, and so who dies.
But here's how they say it too, right? When it comes to leaving all the weapons and shit, they said that in all the equipment, they say it would have cost more money to ship it out.
They could have blown it all up.
There. Sure. Here's my thing. How is that not a cost that you're willing to pay?
Leave weapons of war. What's going to happen?
Yeah. Like I'm saying, we want to destabilize places, right? But let's just bring back the shit because it makes sense.
Or take it someplace where you can secure it. So think about this.
Where?
Had the U.S. taken all of those munitions, not saying this is right, but taken all those munitions and put them in Israel.
Yeah. That'd be the only place.
What would have happened with Hamas because they'd have started to go? Israel would have had so much firepower.
Sure.
I'm not so sure.
That'd have been one strategy.
It would have been.
That'd been one strategy.
It would have been a shit show.
Okay. So that's one strategy, right? And of course, everybody knows that, I'm not for what happened with the whole Israel situation because that's a Zionist takeover of a country, of a sovereign country, but of people, of tribal people, of people that aren't there. That and 100%. I know even before that, Palestine was black. So I'm not saying that those are the people that originally were there originally, but however it goes, we can't leave billions upon billions of weapons in a country that we were just...
That hates us.
Sure. Rightfully so.
Yeah. I mean, so if we'd have taken all that equipment and said, okay, we're gonna send it to our base in Germany.
Sure.
And then given all that to Ukraine.
Sure. But I know what you mean because America logistically is allies and, best friends with Israel and all that type of stuff. So, I mean, it would make all sense of the world for American military strategy to move all that shit to Israel. But then you have all the shit in Israel and somebody tries to attack it just to get all the shit. Israel's forces are pretty strong. The Iron Dome there is pretty good. I don't see a problem. I mean, that would have been the best strategy for America, most definitely. When you think strategy-wise, you don't leave in Afghanistan. That's wild to me. That is just wild. Anyways, those guys are going to have a good time. You know what they might be thinking? That maybe Russia tries to take it back, and then now they got a bunch of more weapons to fight against Russia. You think Russia ever want Afghanistan back? You think they'll come after it again? Ain't that crazy? That's another thing too, right? Like Russia has so many different fronts that they could go after, right? So they could try to expand that way and go back down Afghanistan road because I'm sure there's some rare earth minerals there we're not talking about. They could go and try to run the poppy seed whole exports again, get all the heroin again and all that, and the Oxycontins and all that, right? So they could go. I think I don't know what they think is the easier route because they saw that wasn't an easy route at all.
No.
There's no easy route through Afghanistan in them. Like those folks over there are not playing about theirs. The only thing that has really been able to rule that place as a one unit in recent history has been severe, crazy fundamentalist Islam.
Hate has driven. They have enough people to hate that they can keep the hornet's nest stirred up and be a formidable opponent to anybody. I mean, it's the same thing. I think people would have the same problem if Russia said we're going to invade the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to have the same problem, or worse maybe, because of the civilian population that proud, armed.
Sure.
I mean, it's the same.
We hate Russia. We hate Russia.
I don't.
Most people still have a real hate for Russia,
Yeah,
and they don't even know why.
Yeah, and I don't hate them. I don't hate them.
Look, I grew up hating Russia because of Rocky. Okay? I hated the Russia dude with the flat top. I hated the Russian tall chick. All that shit. I was like, let's
hot
go.
blonde?
Yeah,
The hot
I hated
blonde?
her, man, because this was America. This was, Rocky, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I mean, they taught me to hate Russia from a long time. Okay, before there was Middle Eastern terrorists throughout every movie, every terrorist was what? Russian.
Yeah, Russian spies.
Every terrorist was Russian. It was always like, this guy with this big, heavy Russian accent that had like these machine guns that were coming to like take somebody hostage or take something over.
I mean, unless you go back to Hogan's Heroes, then that was the Germans.
And there you go. See, I mean, we always had to have we have our enemy. We always have the enemy that they push us toward. And Russia's just been historically the enemy that they pushed us towards.
Hollywood has done a great job of that.
They really have. So I hated Russia just because it was like shit.
But you love Hollywood.
Oh, what do you mean? I'm a movie maker, but I also understand Operation Mockingbird, which is real CIA operative, real billions of dollars of money that they give to Hollywood to make the movies and to put the things in the movies that they want to represent to the American people. And it goes on even today, because what you can do is you can go and look, because you get to see the money and you get to see what movies are actually funded by the American government. It's fucking crazy. Like big budget, high budget movies have American government as producers because they gave money.
Yeah.
Now that's really weird, right? Why would American government give money to a movie studio to make a movie? What's the point?
Why are we still doing it?
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
these are like blockbusters that came out like last year. Like, what's the point? Like, what's in those movies that are getting into maybe the subliminal of people that's putting the message that they want them to hear? That's wild to me.
Why did we send Ukrainians to a fashion show to show their wares? Why did we
Wasn't
give
that like
them
a trans fashion show?
a bunch of money to do it? I mean, I don't care if they're trans or not trans. Why would we support Ukraine to go do that? Why wouldn't Ukraine support Ukraine to do that?
True, but I'm just saying it was a regular fashion.
And that was above and beyond the billions of dollars we'd already given them on the war. That all of it didn't get into the war.
Sure, of course. Oh, one thing that I thought was fucking ridiculous is the one reporter. Did you see the reporter trying to hate on Zelensky for not wearing a suit?
Yeah,
that was.
I think that was a congressman, wasn't it?
I don't know who.
I don't think it was a reporter. I think
it
was
a congressman.
I think so.
Somebody on some bullshit. Like, if you don't shut up about what the man is wearing, that's the last of the concern. First thing, who gives a hell? Second thing, me, I like formal wear, right? If I was in that situation, I would have a suit and tie on, 100%, right? That being said, like, who cares? Like, that's the last thing that you should come on and talk about that, especially when Elon Musk ain't never wore no suit and tie. He's in the Oval Office with a damn ball cap, in the Situation Room with a ball cap and shit.
But he's got a jacket on.
You know what type of jacket he has on? Here's the jacket that they give him right for them. Like, hey,
I'm sure.
Hey, wear this shit real quick, because that shit don't even match. It don't fit. It's just it looks worse than what Zelensky has on. Now, here's what I'm trying to say too, right? Is about the whole dress thing or whatever like that, right? I just think that it's super trash to talk about what he's wearing, especially when, like I said, like somebody that they loathe over and is letting literally run his own department of the government, right? Doesn't dress formal. Yeah. That's wild to me.
Well,
but doesn't dress formal. Like, this is really wild to me.
But Fetterman, congressman from Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
He wears a hooded sweatshirt
yeah,
lurch
that
looking
looks
dude.
weird. Yeah, that like again, that's my thing. Here's what I'm saying. Like, you know me, I prefer formal wear, right? But I respect Ernie Chambers when he comes and he don't wear that shit. Like I respect it because that's how most of his constituents dress. He's like, I dress like my constituents. I get it. Me, I just like formal wear because all of my heroes dress like that. Malcolm X always dressed formal. George Washington Carver always dressed formal. Like these are men that I look up to. All of my heroes that are big icons, people that I don't know personally, right? Yeah. They all dressed very formal and I like it, Also, I think it's a big thing of me being like my father with his affiliation with the Nation of Islam and always raising me to like see these guys as heroes too. And they always just have, the great black suit, white shirt, black tie, always put together. That's what my dad used to hate, how I never shave. He'd be like, man, would you get that shit off your face? Like, look presentable, look better. Look, always, yeah. Like he didn't like my locks because it's just not, it's not clean cut. And like, and that's how the nation is. They're clean cut. You want to be anyways. But no, I like suits. I think suits look great. But I just can't judge another man for not wearing one,
Yeah.
It's trash to me. It really is.
Well, I want to kind of wrap this up. Then I want to give a little teaser.
Okay, what's up?
I'm thinking from a wrap-up perspective. I mean, I hope Zelensky comes back, eats a little crow, whatever he has to do, so that we can get some type of peace accord working and quit killing people in Ukraine.
Or all of Ukraine's going to be gone pretty soon.
Yeah. It's just, if not, because everybody says, well, it's a 3-year war. No, it's 10 years.
Sure.
95 when they took Crimea kind of all started. That's when Ukrainians started dying.
Or 2005? You say 95?
Yeah.
Shit, that's 20
it was
years.
95.
95? So 20 years.
Well, when was, no, must have been.
I don't know the number.
Had to have been, well.
Somebody tell me the
number.
number.
It's been 10 years ago.
10 years
so
ago.
15.
So 15.
So it was when, 14, 15. 15. Yeah, 14, 15 is when
Mr.
Crimea
Obama
got took. Yep. He sent them blankets to protect themselves from
bullets. That's what it was. Well, hey, look, man, they cold. Yeah. It was cold.
Yeah.
It was cold. They needed some blankets. Saying let's
just doesn't stop lead very well.
I'm just saying, in my opinion, right, which I think is what a lot of hardline Republicans are saying now, is let's stop funding these people's war. That's their problem. Let them do it. At the very least, we'll send them blankets so they can stay warm. I'm just saying.
And I don't care if we got to send them some food.
Yeah, that too. But I'm just saying, I feel like that's the right stance.
Yep.
What Obama had in 2014, 15 was the right stance. Hey, look, that ain't my problem.
And we should have just kept that stance.
But see, Biden had that money involved in there. See, Biden, while Obama was saying that's not my problem, Biden was over there doing something
making
different.
Deals, making some cash. Or at least his kid was.
He was too.
Yeah.
He was on the phone. I seen the transcripts. Hunter said, I'm talking with, or what do you call it? I'm sitting with the big dog right now.
The big man.
The big man? Yeah, I'm sitting with the big man right now.
Who got his 10% cut?
Sit with the big man, baby. I know what the big man means. Then again, he could have been sitting with like by his
So a little teaser.
Okay.
So, we've talked about doing something, talk about fossil fuels a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Fossil fuels. So I just want to kind of throw out this teaser.
Okay. Throw it out.
That the terminology fossil fuels actually goes back to 1890 to a convention in Geneva. Ooh. Rockefeller sent scientists over there because, Rockefeller was really trying to monetize this oil that he found, which when they found it, it was really just on surface. It was like surface mining oil.
Okay.
And he wanted it for grease, for wagon
surface
wheels.
mining oil means like how deep down? Like
it was like on top.
It's like there, like
yeah.
Like when you see the Beverly Hillbillies
like
and he shoots, and he shoots and it squirts up like
tar pit. So it was surface mining back then.
Wow.
And so that oil maybe had a little bit more to do with fossils, but because he called it and made everybody believe that it was a fossil fuel, that would mean that it was buried deep or buried. Okay. Decaying dinosaur bones.
Sure.
Well,
that's how I've always seen it in my head.
Yeah.
From school.
So
I'm driving a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah. So there's never ever been any fossils found below 16,000 feet.
Okay. What does that mean?
So there's no dead dinosaurs below 16,000 feet, but we're drilling for oil now to 35 to 40,000 feet.
Oh, so that's what that means.
Yeah. So It's probably not fossils. I mean, it's not like bones are decaying.
Okay.
It's a hydrocarbon,
Okay.
which is all plants and animals. Every living, breathing, growing thing has those elements in it
Okay.
that have decayed and broke down. How much of that oil has been there in the ground and is still there in the ground from when the planet started? Who knows? Because I can't believe that our planet was 35, 40,000 feet smaller at some point, and then stuff died there and it buried on top of it.
It's a lot of feet.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot of feet.
So
is this just a part of the chemistry of the Earth?
I believe it is. It has to be that at those depths.
Is that what a lot of scientists are saying now? That it's just a part of the Earth.
It's another theory of it's really not what we said it was.
What we've been saying.
But it really comes down to was because it was a fossil fuel.
Okay.
Means things died, decayed, so it's limited.
It's scarce.
Scarce, can become very scarce. So that's how Rockefeller monetized it to create value.
Like this shit's gonna run out.
Yeah.
It's gonna run out soon.
It's fossil fuel because it's gonna run out, man. We're not gonna have it.
But don't we just keep finding it everywhere and like trying to keep the lid on it like that? But it's everywhere. A bunch of it. Really quick. Okay, that's a hell of a teaser.
That's the teaser. We're gonna go deeper into that, and
that's a hell of a teaser,
and into the whole CO2 and
that's a hell of a
hydrocarbon
teaser.
stuff. So that's an upcoming episode.
Wow.
Once things calm down a little bit from a world news perspective.
Really quick on that teaser. When I was talking to Native Americans back when I was doing a documentary, and they had ancient things, they were saying that they said that the oil is a part of the earth. It's always been here. It's a part of the earth, like the rocks, like the ground, like the da-da-da. It's always been here. And it's always gonna be here. It's a life source. It's like a blood. It's like the blood of the earth. I don't know. Anyways.
Well, you think about it. So
that's wild.
If the fossil fuels, if they really all came from fossils, our landmass isn't that big.
True.
I mean, we're 80% water.
True.
So you're telling me that, we're drilling into the Gulf 30,000 feet below that. So at one point, the ocean was that much deeper.
That's not even like, I can't even put that in my.
I mean,
that's crazy. No, no, that's hard.
I was just doing some reading, then I started doing a little bit of research. That
just doesn't pass like the bullshit meter, right?
Yeah, it doesn't for me.
Like, it just doesn't pass the beep, 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 which is a lot of things. If you just look into it a little bit that we've been sold, just don't even pass the bullshit meter.
Yeah.
And then it's so weird to me that I talk to indigenous communities and what they say to me when they say it, it seems like, wow, that's a weird outlier thought. And then you hear some real actual different science that it's like, hold on. What they just said is like what they're saying. Like, it's just part of the earth. It's like just there. It's
same deal.
Wild. Anyways.
Indigenous people moved around nomadically just to keep food sources fresh.
They also said, like, she was like, hey, like, we understand the earth. It's just in this new one I'm doing. I was just editing. She was like, we moved because we understand if we stay at one point, we're going to abuse the earth there and it won't replenish right. It won't do, we're downtrodden it. We have to move into these places. I mean, and what happens, right? That we see. Anyways, that's wild. Hey, now that's a hell of a teaser.
That's a good teaser.
Hell of a teaser.
Peace out, everybody. March Madness is coming up. Ish and I are going to be having some fun with March Madness too.
Middle of the street.
Got a lot going on, and
Deuce looks good.
They do. Even if Flag went out, he played it. Didn't
what
play
happened?
a lot.
What do you mean he went out?
He got a finger in the eye. It looked like.
Oh, that's all.
Early, and he missed. He missed the last 11 minutes of the first half.
That's great because they still put up 100 points.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Damn, you see Gonzaga scored a bunch.
Oh man, I
knew they were going to score a bunch. I should have told you because I've been watching Gonzaga. Yeah, and they've been scoring. But I like to go with you. Which is
we had fun.
Oh my gosh! All right, today,
peace out, everybody.
Let's get it.
Love you.
Get it.
Please give us some comments.
No agenda, no bull crap, just real conversations. Thank you for joining us for the Middle of the Street podcast.